Welcome back to the Kayla Lee Show. Today's conversation is going to be so different to any of my other conversations that I've ever led on the Kayla Lee Show because I am so different. It has been a year since I have recorded a podcast episode. It's been a year since I've been even present on social media. It's been a year since I have launched anything in my business. And the reason for that is because I have been deep inside a portal of exponential expansion in my inner world. It's like I no longer resonate with anything that was before June 2024. And then now I've been in this little cocoon and I've been shifting and transforming and dissolving and completely releasing and letting go anything that is in the way and transmuting it into purpose and power. And fuck, like that has been an insane, extraordinary evolution. And it's taken me a really long time I've honored my process. I didn't want to feel like I was forcing myself to show up in this old identity when the real truth is that I didn't know who the fuck I am. Like I was no longer resonating with the business coach, the strategist, like it just was no longer resonating with me. It felt super surface level and it felt super like not, it just didn't feel in alignment anymore. And so whilst I was in this void of completely burning down my entire life, like I'm talking divorce, separation, learning to navigate, moving to another state and having my boys only 50% of the year. Like that is a whole other story, which I will probably break down and share with you in later episodes, because it hurts my heart now. But like my life has been completely transformed in the most heart-wrenching and yet extraordinary way. But today's episode, everything that I want to share with you tonight in today's episode is like, this is not the first time that I've had to move through this level of transformation. This is not, oh my heart. This is not the first time that I've had to completely burn everything down and find my way towards the light. This is not the first time. This is not the first time that my life has fallen completely apart. This is not the first time that I have had to grip onto hope and love and light just to get through the day. This is not the first time. And whilst it might look like on social media or in life that I've got everything together, the absolute truth is, and the whole point of this conversation with you today is that behind the doors, in my bedroom, in my lounge room, you have never seen or witnessed the depths that I go to within myself. And now I am so ready to share this with you and share this with the world, because this has been the absolute catalyst for me being able to tune into the grief and create a gift from it, and to tune into the pain and to transform it, to alchemize it into power and purpose. And when I look back on my entire life, this has literally been the one thing that I have done always. And my vision for the Kayla Lee podcast, in fact, for all of my platforms, is to actually share my story of expansion, but from the inside out. My intention is that you will hear my story and you will resonate and you will find yourself in my story, because I'm going all in. I am finally ready to be so vulnerable and to be so seen in that level of vulnerability instead of hiding those parts of me from the world and only showing up in joy and ecstasy and excitement and expansion, I'm now so ready to show up and show the world the full expression of the divine feminine. Her sadness, her heartbreak, her grief, her anger, her frustration, her wild rage, her ecstasy, her bliss, her pleasure, her power, her magnetism, her truth, her unconditional love. Like all of her. Because for so fucking long, my entire life, I've only ever shown up in love, in joy, in ecstasy, in excitement, because I thought those parts of me were loved. But the actual truth is, that's only 10% of me. What you don't see is me spending 8 hours going deep into my inner world to transmute and alchemize the shadow into light. What you don't see is me in my fullest expression of wildfire fucking rage coursing through my body and allowing myself to give unconditional love and honor to all of my expression without the shame, the guilt, the judgment. What you don't see is me dropping to my knees in the kitchen when I'm completely crumbling and falling apart. And instead of trying to suppress that emotion, I'm leaning into that emotion and I'm allowing it to be. What you don't see is me then moving through that expression of the emotion and then looking for the lesson, looking for the wisdom, looking for the gift, and then transmuting, alchemizing that into power, into pleasure, into the gift. And today I wanted to really come on and share a huge part of my journey, which has been like 7 years ago today was the day that it was actually night. It was the night that I just put my little 3-week-old baby to bed and my 1-year-old was asleep in his cot, and I'd finally just gotten to bed, and then I felt my ex-husband like tapping on my shoulder and then like wrapping his arms around me and telling me like just the words that I will never forget in my life were like, your mum has just passed away. And I like could not move at all, because it was like the 3 years leading up to that moment had just finally all been released. Like the moment of all of the moments of survival, all of the moments of stress, all the moments of fear, and had all just been completely released from my body, because I was like we've been waiting. It's like waiting for that one moment and never knowing when that moment is going to come, and then having to show up every single day knowing that day is going to come, that the day is going to come where she's going to no longer be here anymore. And oh my God, I cannot even explain to you what that felt like for me to be navigating my pregnancy knowing that my mum was never going to be there to see my babies grow up. Spending my introduction to motherhood was spending weeks, like every day in hospital, not at mother's group, not connecting with other mums, not even trying to navigate motherhood, just being in absolute survival, like the depths of hell. And then in the same breath putting all of that aside because the only thing that I cared about was being there for my mum and my little boy, and just spending as much, doing whatever she needed to receive the support, to know that she was never alone in that whole journey. And for those of you who don't know, my mum she was given a diagnosis of stage 4 endometrial cancer. And we were given months to live, 12 weeks if she didn't have treatment. But because my mum is the absolute powerhouse that she is, and her like strength is like nothing I've ever seen before, and yet it's been a gift that she has given me in this lifetime. And there was nothing that was good, no medical diagnosis was going to stop that woman from meeting her grandbabies. No medical diagnosis was going to stop her from watching me get married, being there on my wedding day. And there was no diagnosis that was going to stop her from meeting her second grandbaby, like nothing. And that is like one of the things that I honored so much. And just, it didn't matter what the external reality was saying to my mom. It didn't matter the doctors. She just so strong in who she was, and that she was going to be there to meet her grandbabies. And I admired that in her so much, because she defied science. And 2.5 years later, she was still with us. But that moment did come. And today, the day of this recording, is an honoring of my beautiful mum and the journey that I've taken since losing mum, since that moment where I heard the words, "Your mum has passed away." And like my whole world just completely shattered, like laying in bed and then having to process the moment that you knew was coming, and then feeling all of the emotions. It's like finally I could exhale, because I was like, it's like I've been holding my breath like that whole 2.5 years, not knowing when that moment was going to come, not knowing what I was going to be doing, being on edge on my phone, like always so scared to put my phone down, so scared to not be there if she ever needed me, like so scared that I might miss an appointment. Like the survival that I was in was like nothing that I would ever witness upon anyone. And then trying to navigate that with a 1-year-old, and also being pregnant with my second boy, I can't even tell you what I had to move through, because I was so disassociated. I could not feel the extreme level of emotion that was coursing through my body. I was so disconnected, because I just felt in my whole soul that my one job was to be there and to be everything that my mum needed throughout whatever she needed in her journey. And she was so resilient. Like that woman, her strength, her courage, her bravery, her fucking love, like she was a lioness. There was nothing, no one would hold her back. Once she'd made her mind up, she knew what she wanted. But she had this level of like power and resilience and strength and courage, but it was also met with this love, like her values of family, and that like family is everything, is like the legacy that has been handed down from her, and just radiating through my whole soul, that you're always there for your family. You will never ever I can't even, that the connection and the love that your family hold is like so profound. And she gave me that gift, like the gift of being the mum that is like the one constant, like the one thing that you can rely on for absolutely everything. That woman she was for me. Like, oh, I was so lucky to have such a divine representation of such a beautiful woman who was so embodied in her power and so anchored in her truth, like nothing would pull her out of that, and yet so deeply connected to her heart. And the way that she would hold you and understand you, it's like you don't even have to say words because she's just got you. Like, I am so grateful for Mum, because having Mum be that beautiful representation of a mother is the exact reason why I am who I am, and the way that I'm able to hold this beautiful space for my clients, for my family, for my friends, and especially for my babies, and especially for me, is like extraordinary. Mum, you know, with everything, it has its like pros. Those pros are that Mum was an extraordinary soul that would do anything for anyone. But equally so, it meant that Mum didn't lean on people. She had everything sorted herself. She was the strong one. She was the resilient one. She was the one, I've got this. Every time you would offer to help, she would say no and she would decline it. She wouldn't receive that support. She had to be the one, the strength. And then I also received that, which made the whole process harder in losing her, because I had such beautiful friends reaching out and wanting to help, and just not knowing how to receive that help, or not feeling safe to be vulnerable, and or a whole lifetime of learning or knowing and being the one who holds me, meant that when I needed other people, like when I needed support the most, I felt so alone. I didn't know how to reach out to people and ask for help. I didn't know how to reach out and just cry. I didn't know how to like be seen in that sadness. I didn't think that I would be loved in that sadness. I felt like I would be a burden in that sadness. I felt like I had to move through all of that on my own. And now that I look back on it, that was my pattern that was playing out. That was the story. That was the, I was going to say gift, but it's kind of like a curse that had been handed down through my lineage, because we are a family of women of absolute strength. And whilst that can be powerful in business and powerful for leadership, when you're wanting to drop into your feminine and be held and express, it doesn't feel safe because you've never had that experience before. And that is like, oh, that has been the journey since losing Mum. It's been being able, like, it's taken 8 years for me to even move through all of that, to even be here, being able to have this conversation with each and every one of you, to fully open up my heart, to completely expand, and to be okay with being vulnerable, and to be okay with the fear of, what if you use my vulnerability against me? What if vulnerability is a weakness? Like, those are the programming. That's the programming that we've all been taught. And yet the truth is that you wearing your heart on your sleeve and you opening your heart is actually the greatest gift for a deeper level of connection and intimacy, and permission for others to go and meet you in that depth. Permission to connect with your sadness and your grief and your heartbreak in those moments. Permission to actually be held and to receive support, so that you don't have to carry it alone, always on your own. And oh my gosh, like, I don't remember the first 2 years, mum passing away, and it actually hurts me to say, but the first year of Theo's life, like I have to look at memories on my phone to remember, because there's nothing. It was complete disassociation. It was absolute survival. People would ask if I was okay and how I'm doing, and the truth was, like, I thought I was okay because I had nothing. I was like, I felt like a shell of a human. There were so much anger and rage that was coming out in this wild expression, because underneath that was the heartbreak and the grief that I was like not fully connected with. And so I just remember when everything just came crashing down, and there was this one moment in the kitchen and my little boys were around me, and I had like, this was rock bottom. It was like I was on the ground on the kitchen floor and I just could not stop crying. It was like everything caught up on me, and it was like I could no longer disconnect to that feeling. I could no longer disconnect. I couldn't ignore. I couldn't suppress the grief of losing mum. I couldn't pretend anymore that I was okay, because I fucking wasn't. And yeah, I didn't know how to reach out to people and communicate that. I didn't know how to receive help or support. I would go to psychologists and I would go to counselors, and I was like, logically, yeah, I'm grieving my mum, but none of it was felt. There was no moment where I was tapping into my heart and being like, wow, there's grief there. That's really painful. That is so sore. Let me create space to feel into that. I did none of it. Like, I didn't even know that that was possible. I was just existing in life with this deep heartbreak that I was completely disconnected from and didn't even know existed. And I would have moments of tears coming through, and I'd be like, oh wow, that's, like, wow, I'm feeling the feels. But the truth was, I wasn't even hitting the tip of the iceberg. And the breaking point for me was when I was on the floor in my kitchen and my two little boys were around me, and I just remember thinking, like, this is not me. I'm not even the mum that I know I am. This is not true for me. I'm an awful person, like, because I had held so much grief and sadness and density and heartbreak and pain in my body that I was disconnected from. All that would come out and would be expressed is not the heartbreak and the grief. It was only the rage and only the anger, and like blind rage where I wouldn't even know. I had no control over my actions. Like, I had no control over my feelings. It's like I completely lost control. I became not just the chaos, but a storm, like a wild storm. And now I know this, but now I can see where it's been a pattern of mine to, out of protection, is to not surrender into receiving help or love or support, and not surrender into that vulnerability and that weakness and that expression of, like, I haven't had those moments where I'm crying and then I am like, hey, I actually really need some help or support because I'm really moving through something difficult right now. I've never had that in my life. I've always been the one who is always that person for somebody else, because I would never want anyone to ever feel that level of loneliness in their hardest moments of life. And this moment with the boys in the kitchen, it was the turning point, because there was no amount of psychology or counseling that was going to change how I was disconnected. And I could tell the psychologists and the counselors exactly what they needed to hear. I knew exactly what they needed to hear. I was able to get around it. And this is why I'm so passionate about doing the deeper work and the embodiment and the to really drop in and feel it and move it and shift it and transmute it and alchemize it, is because that is the only thing that got me to where I am today. And a huge pattern that was playing out for me was that in those moments of absolute grief, when I would finally get a wave of emotion where I could actually feel it, those moments are the exact moments that I would push people away. So the people that loved me and the people that wanted to support me and the people that like wanted to be there for me, all I did was push them away and say, I'm okay, I'm good. And instead of receiving support in those moments, I would go to my bedroom. I remember shutting every single door from wherever the boys were into, let's just say, like my bedroom door, and then it would be the bathroom door, and then I would go in the shower and I would just cry because I didn't want to be seen in any of my sadness. I didn't feel safe to express any of my sadness. I didn't feel safe to receive support or to be held in any of my sadness, and I actually felt like I was a burden to anyone around me, and I didn't want them to see that. And so there were moments where, yeah, I've just learned in my whole life to be the one that holds me and to be the one that leans on me, and I'm my constant, I'm my consistent, and I'm my safety. Like, I, up until now, have never felt safe being able to express my emotions. Like, as if I always got told, like, I wore my heart on my sleeve and I'm gonna get hurt and my heart's too big and like all these things. And yet it's just so iconic because my heart and my sensitivity is my superpower. And my vulnerability is not weakness, it's power. And it's taken me 36 years for this to land. It's taken 8+ years of personal development and inner work, alchemy, to fully shift that. And oh my gosh, this moment on the floor in the kitchen was so pivotal for me because I looked down at the boys and I was a shell of a human. I was not the it was like I had this out of body experience, and it was like I got shown 2 timelines, out of body experience, and it was like, this is where your future is going and this is how much of an impact it's going to be for your boys, and this is the outcome for them. This is basically how it's going to ruin their world, their life, and your connection with them, and how that's going to like affect their life. They're going to, oh my God, I can't even deal. Like, that broke me. And then I got shown this other vision, which was like the moment that I choose to rise like a phoenix, the moment that I choose to lean into it, the moment that I choose to heal, the moment that I choose to bring consciousness to it and to be with it and to just follow my path, and how that changes everything for my boys. And like I was in the pits of hell, and the greatest gift that my mum ever gave me was that the power that we hold and the resilience that we hold. And I am stubborn, and I will not give in, and I will not cave. And if you put my boys in the pathway for destruction, whoa. There is nothing that is going to hold me back, because there is no fucking way that I will ever allow harm to my children. And so just seeing that, I remember those 2 pathways and looking down at their faces and then looking at me and just seeing like, holy fuck, this needs to change. Like, I don't know what it is. I have no idea what is going to happen from here, but it was just like that, a click of the fingers, and it was a different decision. It was a different timeline. And yeah, it was. I went all of the way into journaling. It wasn't even like I haven't even tuned into my intuition at this point. I had my intuition. All I wanted was to connect with mum, and I knew that I had my intuition, but I hadn't mastered it, and I hadn't mastered the gift. But all I knew was that looking down at my boys is that something had to change and that I was going to be the change. And I tapped into mum's power, her values, and that became my driving force, the absolute catalyst for who I am today. Because if it wasn't for mum, if it wasn't for moving through that process, like I would not be the mum that I am today. I wouldn't be the business owner that I am today. I wouldn't be here where I am today. And losing mum was the absolute catalyst for a whole new direction in my life. And then when I look at the ripples of that happened beyond that, from who I am as a mum, my own growth and development, all the wounds and everything that I've had to move through and heal in my own healing journey, has completely shifted like who I am as a mum. And the most amazing thing is that like it's actually been a healing gift for my mum and my mum's lineage, like my nana and Nitty and everyone beyond. And so my own boys, it's like losing mum became the catalyst for all of that. And this is why I always say that losing mum has been the greatest gift for me, like for her, but for my boys. It's like, oh my god, this makes me want to cry so much. But the mum that I am today wouldn't have happened unless I lost mum at the time that I needed her the absolute most. And oh my gosh, like that's why it feels like a gift, because that was her highest value. Like she loved her grandbabies. Her grandbabies were her life, and they still are. And I can still feel mum connected. Like Elliot, when he was 1, ran around the house and was saying Donna, Donna, Donna. This was before I'd even tapped into any of my gifts, and I was like, what the actual fuck? Like this is wild, but such a gift. And I can even feel her presence here. And if it wasn't for losing mum, I wouldn't have been on this journey. And I wouldn't have had these spiritual awakenings. I wouldn't have had these personal growth and expansion. Like I wouldn't be the mum that I am today. And it all started from mum. And today is her anniversary, and the day of this recording is the 31st of August. And I just felt so ready to jump on here and share vulnerably like what hell actually has felt like moving through the grief and moving through the heartache, and how I've been able to alchemize that into power, into purpose, and into gifts. And so the journey of losing mum, it was like it wasn't about the counseling, it wasn't about the psychologist, it was nothing to do with the logical mind. It was all in the subconscious, it was all in my somatic body, it was all in my energetic body. And so it was a journey. Not only did I have to disconnect from my logical mind, I had to actually learn to drop into my body. I had to learn to feel. Like that sounds so insane to actually say now, because I feel more than I think, but I had to learn to feel I was so disconnected. The only feelings that I could feel were love. Oh, not even love sometimes, joy. Not even joy sometimes, because all I had was sadness. And so it was a journey. But all I knew is that I was going to become a better mum. And when I looked at those little boys and their faces, my little darlings, and I was like, they deserve better. And all I wanted was to be a better mum for them. And all I wanted was to have the connection with my mum. And I knew it was possible. That's the one thing that I knew. I knew that I could connect with her. And so I just kept following my intuition, and I kept tuning into what I was being drawn to on my journey. And no, I was nowhere near spiritual, like nowhere near like where I am now. I had to tune into all of it. I had to sit with myself. I had to go into like a 3-year journey of introspection. Maybe 4 years. I completely pulled back from everyone and I honored what I needed. And through that period, I was journaling. That's how it all began. Tarot, I started playing, like I started to go through this whole process where it became like a game almost. It was like I would pull a card and then I would always make sure it was reversed, because in tarot usually that's the shadow, and so I would look into the reverse of it. It was like I just was dedicated to a whole year of doing shadow work, like just actually radical responsibility and looking in the mirror and taking accountability and then taking the aligned action to shift it. Like every time I would tune into all of my patterns. Like, okay, so what's triggering my anger and rage? Like, what's underneath that? Because anger and rage was something that I could actually tune into. It was an emotion that was available for me. And so whenever I was triggered, whenever I was activated, whenever there was wild rage coming through me, I was like, okay, let's get curious. Like, what is the message behind the wild rage? Why am I so fucking angry right now? Why? And so I would get curious, I would contemplate it, I would go deeper, I would look into it, and then I would look into it without attaching. I would observe from a higher perspective, and then all of a sudden I started to understand and connect with my emotions and feel my emotions. Be sad, be angry, be rage, be frustration, be grief, like to be all of it without attaching shame, fear, or guilt. And as the boys got older, Elliot started expressing his emotions, and that was huge. That was a huge journey for me. It was being met with his emotions, and his expressions of those emotions were triggering, because for somebody who was disassociated from their emotions, seeing all of those emotions coming at you is overwhelming. And so again, like, Elliot has been a phenomenal gift for allowing me the opportunity to tune into my emotions, and why is that triggering me so much. So this journey evolved and evolved and evolved, and I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper, and not looking at any of it from a place of judgment. Like, no judgment, just curiosity and this absolute burning desire to become better, to become peaceful, to become love, to become the best mum that I could ever be, was my only desire. And that is the thing that kept pulling me forward, my non-negotiable. And I just remember this one moment. I had this wildfire success in my business, and I just went from selling my expansion mastermind to all of these beautiful, beautiful clients saying yes and joining my world. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, I had a vision. My heart was completely open. I knew the impact that expansion was going to offer my clients, and I knew I could feel so deeply that how this was going to change their lives and their family. And I had experienced it firsthand in my own life. And so I was like, the ripples of magic just completely expanded out from my body from there. And I remember spinning around in celebration. And then all of a sudden it was like, whew, I just went up in the air. It was like physical reality was there, but I was in like the 12th dimension. And I could see I was a pillar of white light, and there was my mum as a pillar of white light and my nana as a pillar of white light. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, it lasted for maybe 0.3 seconds, but it was long enough for me to fucking know the absolute truth of the truth of the truth of the truth. And so that one moment, oh my God, that one moment was just so anchored into my entire being of the truth. And so because I actually got to experience that from a higher frequency of celebration and gratitude and ecstasy and excitement, my vibration was so much higher. And so because my vibration was so high in that one moment, I became an energetic, like I could tune into like a tuning fork of the higher dimensions. And because I knew that, like the truth of the truth of the truth, I knew that I could get there again. And so now because I've got my finger, like my little toe dipped in the water, I was like, I am absolutely going to master this because I am going to get there again. Remember the power? Remember the absolute knowing and absolute trust in yourself that is the gift that I received from my mum. The absolute, like when she put her mind to something, nothing was going to pull her out of that. That is the same level of power that I was holding in this moment. Like nothing was going to stop me from connecting with my mum. I was like, she might not be here in the 3D, like the physical reality, but she is here. I fucking know it. And I am going to find her. And so I did. I literally spent so much time tuning into my truth, into my energetic body, into my inner world, tuning into my channel, and not consciously, just being still. Clearing the clutter from my mind, disconnecting from my mind and dropping into my body, into my heart, into my womb. And the more that I did that, the more stillness that I sat in without needing to change anything, without needing it to become anything, just completely connected in the present moment in my body. I created this like vortex, and it was this sacred space that I could tap into. Now it's the quantum. I'm aware of that now, but I didn't know that then. And my gosh, I just remember this was like the most amazing moment in my life, because the other experience I had was, it was by accident. I met mum by accident. And every other moment before that, I'd met mum by accident. It was like in my absolute deepest moments of tears and sorrow and heartbreak and grief, I could feel her. I could feel her around me and holding me, but I'd never actually seen her. I could hear her and I could feel her, but I'd never seen her until that moment with the 3 pillars of light. And then this other moment happened when I was laying on my bed and I just dropped into full stillness, like complete stillness. And I was in the void, there was it was just nothingness. And then there was this energy in front of me. And so I started walking up to the energy, my ears are ringing, and I started walking up to the energy, and there's a feather floating. And I walked up to the energy and it was mum. And I just remember walking up and just falling into her arm, like not into her arms because she didn't have arms, but like falling into her energy. And then it was like our energies merged, and it was like we were one, we were whole again. And I just, I haven't experienced that feeling of melting into her arms for like 4 years. And so that feeling of being able to connect with her and to physically feel the feeling of melting into her arms when she's not actually here in the like the 3D physical reality, it makes no sense, but all of the sense in the exact same time. And so because I had that experience, I then realized, like, holy shit, this really does exist. Like, I have just tapped into something, but the most important thing is that I tapped into it consciously. Like, I made the decision, I created the space, and I made it happen. And so if I can tune into mum in that one moment, and if I can consciously connect with her and meet her and feel her and fall into her and have our energies merge in the like in the higher realms, in the world of energy, then I can tap into this always. And so from there, I started to follow my intuition. I started to really focus on my channel and my gift and clearing my energy. And from there, because my channel came through so clear, like so clear, I started to receive messages from the like galactics, God, Mother Earth, Mary Magdalene, like Kali, dragons, like fucking insane. It wasn't my angels, my spirit guides, clear as fuck messages. Not only could I see what they were showing me, I could see words, I could see visions, I could hear vibrations and sounds. So the angels are always, I can always hear angels like singing. The frequency of angels, the frequency of diamonds sparkling is what angels sound like to me, and I can literally feel them and see them and hear them. And then I also can hear mum, like, you know, mum always coming through, and Nana, and God, like from that moment, like from this channel, I was able to then lean into not only just my healing, but I then started to lean into my lineage healing. So working with the divine, working with mum, working with my Nana, working with my entire feminine lineage to heal the shadows and the wounds in our womb space, and to heal the suppression of the feminine in my throat chakra, to create safety and to soften and let my guard down, so I don't feel like I'm in fight or flight or survival anymore. I don't feel like I have to protect myself, although these are still patterns I'm working through, but I was able to soften. A huge part of this journey for me to even be here sharing this with you today has taken for me to create safety within to be seen in my vulnerability. That means letting my guard down. That means opening my heart. That means being available for support. That means receiving support. And that also means being available for judgment, to be shamed, to be trolled, for people to share my content with others and be like, look at this chick. For people who want what's bad to happen to me. For people that have bad intentions and then projecting it onto me. Like, I feel all of it, and that is true, and I feel it. And so still being able to feel that and still show up as all of me, hiding 0% of me, being fully expressed, being so open and vulnerable, and be willing to share the depths of my absolute soul, the part of me that I've hidden from the people that I love the absolute most, by the way, and be willing to show up and share all of me. That has taken a fuckload of inner work. That is not something that I ever thought that I would ever be capable of doing, and yet here we are. That is because of the healing of my lineage. Healing the shame, the judgment, the guilt, the sadness, the grief, every moment in time that we were taught to protect ourselves because it's not safe to be soft, it's not safe to be feminine, it's not safe to be vulnerable, it's not safe to be held, it's not safe to receive. Every moment that I got taught to close my heart, not open and expand it. Every moment that I got taught to suppress my voice and my expression because it might hurt other people's feelings, or they might need me more than what I need them right now, or whatever, so many things. All of that journey has all unraveled for me from the 31st of August 7 years ago, when I lost my mom. When I had to hear the words, Your mum has just passed away when I had to drive to my dad's house with a 3-week-old baby, met by my brother outside to cuddle, knowing that I had to walk through the door and see my mum for the last time. And the journey of like to go from not feeling anything and then wondering what was wrong with me and why I couldn't feel or access a feeling, like how could I go from there to this moment right now? And that has been the greatest gift that my mum has ever given me amongst everything else. And so I wanted to come on here. It's just like, it's wild today. This morning I woke up and normally I would do journaling and normally I would share a beautiful message about mum, and this time I just felt so ready to actually share all of it, like all of it with the world, because this whole process since losing mum has actually become my purpose. Like, oh my gosh, my heart is, this whole process has brought me so into alignment, so into my anchored truth, in absolute connection with my higher self and the highest version of me, and what I'm here to do in the world, and the impact that I'm here to have, the movement that I'm here to create, the message that I'm here to share, is all because of mum. All for mum. All for the gift that she created, that she gave me in the hardest moment of my entire life. I somehow, like a Christmas miracle, was able to turn one of the greatest, most painful heartbreaks of my entire life, the absolute burning everything to the ground moment where everything was falling apart and I was not even there. I was able to turn that into light, into power, into magic, into miracles, into expansion, into an open heart, into healing, into purpose. And that was her legacy. That is her greatest gift. And it's so amazing because I remember having this moment where mum, she came to me and there was like this, like two hands holding, except there was a line in the middle, and this was the gift. Oh, she gave me a gift. She came to me in a dream. This was before I could connect with her. She came to me in a dream and she gave me a gift, and then there was like these two hands holding each other, and one hand was hers and one hand was mine, except I was working from earth and she was working from like the higher realms, and where this is the gift that we're creating for the world. Like, I'm channeling her, she's constantly showing me the way because she can see it all, and then I'm the vessel, like the one moving, taking the actions here on earth. And so it is quite literally the greatest gift that keeps giving for the healing of the divine feminine, the healing of the divine masculine, the expansion, the deep connection to self, the growth, the love, and everything that ripples out from beyond, from there. Wow. So this was possibly one of the longest podcast episodes I've ever recorded, but yet one of the most powerful. And if there's one thing that I want to share with you at the end of all of this, is that you always hold the power to alchemize your pain into purpose and power. You always hold the power to transmute any shadow, any wounds, any grief, any sadness into the greatest gift that can become the catalyst for the greatest level of transformation in your life. If you are going through anything that is excruciatingly painful and you can't see the light, and you don't think it's like 111, 1111, and you don't see the light, I just want you to tune into the potential that you have the power to transmute and alchemize the pain into power, into purpose, into expansion, into love, into wisdom, into a gift. You hold that. So, I hope you have the most amazing day. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a wild ride, a journey, a roller coaster. I actually would love if you could reach out and send me a message on Instagram and just share like what came up for you. Is there any breakthroughs? Like, I would love to hear from you. That would mean the absolute world. But for now, I will see you in the next episode. Mwah!